All right, everybody, let's start. If you have any other question, just drop it in the chat. As I mentioned earlier, today Marcos won't be joining us, but I'll try to be able to answer all your questions in the chat as well. So, for the ones that don't know who we are, with Marcos, we are the founders of Automate RevOps. We are a company that is specialized in helping sales professional into implementing Clay for their own team and even to be able to upskill and achieve better results inside their own company or get a promotion or a new job. So far, we have helped more than 50 companies in order to implement Clay. And we have generated a lot of pipeline doing this because what we can automate in terms of sales and marketing make a big impact in the processes. So we are one of the few Clay experts that are dedicated into the training and enablement processes for companies. And we are really proud of it. And we are investing a lot of our time and resources into deploying new workflows and sharing it with our community every week. So, as I mentioned earlier, every week we're hosting these workshops that you can participate for free. And the idea here is that I'm going to share with you some examples of what you can achieve with Clay and other automation tools. In this case, for today, we're going to talk about how you can create an outreach system targeting local businesses. For the ones that want to promote what we're currently doing because you find it valuable, we're going to share with you the template that we're going to build together today. So if you print a screen capture of what we are presenting today and publish it on LinkedIn and tag us, Marcos and me, we will share the template with you so you can start by using this template. Anyways, we're really happy to have you here to help you understand what are the Clay basics. So if you have any questions, drop it in the chat. We're recording this. We are recording this and we're gonna share with you after the call as well. And we have other recordings that we share for the people that purchase our playbook. We have a list of different videos and trainings in there. That is a really well comprehensive guide on how to use Clay for your own purposes. All right, so let's jump into the topic of today, how to use Clay for local lead generation, find businesses in your backyard. So our promise for you today is that you will be able to find local businesses, create a local business discovery workflow. So you will be able to find businesses by filtering by city, zip code, or region. And use Google Maps and Yelp enrichment to be able to pull reviews, our contact information automatically, and then start an outreach sequence based on that. So apart from that, as I told you earlier, if you share a LinkedIn post about it, I'm gonna share with you the free template that we're gonna build together today. So as a starting point, you can share in the chat or you can raise your hand. How many of you have tried to prospect local businesses manually using Google searches and business directories? I mean, if you are targeting local businesses, probably Google is the main source. Yelp also is really powerful for that. And there are other similar tools, of course, but in those two tools, probably you will find 80% of the companies. So are you currently prospecting using Google searches? I want to hear you. So let me see in the chat. Brian, no. Are you targeting local businesses? All right. We have an active audience today. Brianna is okay. So if you're currently doing it, probably you're gonna face some of the challenges that I'm gonna present to you today. Also, I'm gonna share with you how to overcome those challenges using clay. So, why clay for this purpose in particular? Clay had the capability to integrate a database like Google Maps or Yelp into a tool that you can manage to be able to use that information and modify that information to your purposes. So Clay has the capability to integrate with more than 100 data providers and even LLM models. So the idea is that you can create an automation inside the same tool to be able to get the data, work with the data, and transform the data into something that you're going to use for prospecting or for other purposes, like enriching your CRM, all in the same tool. And after setting up everything, you're going to be able to run the same process for a lot of new lists, or you can even create an evergreen process to find leads on autopilot. So in this case, that we're going to target local businesses, the promise for you is that Clay will make the prospecting smarter and even faster. So with Clay, you will be able to automate this local business discovery from multiple sources. You will be able to enrich with location-specific data, create geo-target outreach that reference the local context, scale hyper-local campaigns without losing personal touch. So if you want to create your first campaign, let me tell you that you are in the right place today, because we're gonna build together a workflow in Clay that after this workshop you will be able to replicate for your own business. I'm reading the chat as well. Brian says a slightly different use case, B2B SaaS for a client. B2B SaaS local for, okay, yeah, that would be kind of, if you're targeting local businesses, that's a great way. If there are other ways as well that you can target companies based on location, but in this case, it's just for starting from Google Maps and Yelp. For local businesses, SMBs, I'm facing problem that I'm not able to get leads of decision makers. That's another big challenge here. We're gonna talk about how to solve that issue as well. So what you're gonna see is that most teams struggle because they spend like 70% of the time on research and data entry tasks that can be automated. And if you're able to automate all those tasks, probably you can invest all that time into actually engaging with prospects that are the actions that currently will drive you more revenue. So if you are investing, let's say, 4 to 6 hours per day into this task, or if your team is doing that, probably you'll notice that at some point you will start to suffering this burnout, or the quality of the data will suffer, because we're humans and we are not flawless. So probably you will be facing this type of challenges in terms of making the data quality consistent over time. So this task, if you automate it, you will be able to not only increase the quality of the data, but also start using the time that you recover into the engaging part of the task that will actually drive more revenue to you. So, like we always said, if you start decreasing the amount of data intensive work and increase the high value interactions, you will generate more leads, just because you are engaging with more leads. So this is kind of a way of seeing that that is related to just the volume of it. But if you're able to automate this process, you will be able to not only increase the volume of leads because you will have more time, but also because if you automate this task, the limit of the automation is never ends. So you can increase the amount of leads that you can process by a lot. So let me break it down really quick in this example here. If you have 3 reps and they invest 32 hours into high value interactions and 128 hours per month into this data intensive work, and they're generating $150,000 per month, all the team. If you break it down, every hour of high value will be adding $1,500 to your company. If you could automate 70% of these 128 hours per month, you will be recovering a lot of time into that you can invest in these high value interactions that will increase the recovered revenue per rep. So just as a breakdown, a simple breakdown, you could notice that by automating this task, you will be able to make a huge impact in the company. So if you are a rep or if you are a team leader, you will notice that these actions will make a really huge impact in the company. And this is a cool way to also tell your leader why you should start automating your tasks. So why Clay? What is Clay? Clay is a revenue operation orchestrator. It's a tool that allows you to automate tasks and also drive different actions based on your business criteria. For instance, you can create a qualification process in Clay that will find leads on autopilot for you, so you don't have to invest time into researching and investing time into qualifying leads or companies. But also, upon those qualified leads or companies, you can drive them to different processes. For instance, if you find a company that is it's the tier number 1 and you have another company that's tier number 2, you can drive both to different paths. So you can launch campaigns for companies that are tier number 1, that can be one industry and one size of companies, another type of campaigns to tier number 2. So by doing that, you will not only making an impact in terms of the volume of leads that you can process, but also on making the process smarter and more effective. So that's another way that you can start adding value to your company. So in Clay, you will have 4 stages or 4 sources that you can do. One is sourcing data. So you can source data from LinkedIn, you can source data from Apollo, from Lucia, from any source. In this case, we're working with Google Maps today. And then you can enrich data by connecting another external provider to give you more data. Let's say you are getting a list of companies from Google Maps, and then you want to find the same companies on Yelp to add more information for you. So Clay will have the capability to make a call to Yelp and get that information for you and retrieve it to the table. So then you can process that data to be able to qualify the company, to find leads, or to create a personalized message. Then at the end of the workflow, you can integrate all that data that you generate, all the information you generate, into a sequence tool or into your CRM. So today, we have this particular challenge, that is creating an outreach campaign targeting restaurants and retail shops in downtown Miami for a POS system. So the idea here is that we're gonna find those businesses using Google Maps, qualify those businesses, find leads inside those businesses, and then use that database of leads to find contact data and send them into a campaign. So in Clay, you will be able to create all this process and automate that process so you can replicate it to different campaigns in the future. So the first task is to find restaurant within 5-mile radius of downtown Miami. So in order to do that, let's go into Clay. And in Clay, if you go to the main dashboard, you can click on New and create a new workbook here. A workbook is a compilation of tables. Every table is a different automation that can be connected to another table. So the idea of the workbook is that you can organize all your tables that have the same purpose or they have the same topic together so you can jump from one table to another in an easier way. So in this case, when you create the workbook, you're gonna see that we have an empty sheet here, but we need to create a table. So if we see on the left, you have all the possibilities that are already built in Clay that are the most used. So right now we're gonna we need to find businesses using Google Maps. So there are not function here that it says Google Maps, but we have a function that says find local businesses. But if you click on all sources, you can type Google Maps and you're gonna find this option that says find local businesses using Google Maps. So that will be a starting point here that you can start using. All right, so when you click on that option, you're gonna see first that a new model appear and you have the chance to set it up. So first thing to notice is that Clay is gonna ask you if you want to use the Google APIs or just the free function. The difference between those function by using the Google APIs or not is that with the Google APIs, you will have more information in the beginning. For instance, you will have more categories for that business. You will have more reviews in a starting point. So for that, it will cost you 1 credit per company that finds. In this case, we're going to start with the free function because maybe you don't need that information. And you can even enrich the data later, so you don't have to have all that data in the beginning. So let's select here on the filter the location that we want to find. So it's Miami. Let's look for Miami. And we can even select a different location. Let's keep this location. And here you can add also increase the radius that you want to find businesses. Okay. Here we have the search query. Inside the search query, you need to type whatever you are looking for using your own words. So that would be like if you are doing a Google search using your own keywords. So in this case, I'm gonna find restaurants. And you can limit the amount of results that you want to process. So the maximum of this function is 200 results unless you use the Google APIs. But in this case, 200 is okay to start with. So you can even use your own processing and use your own API. And there are other workarounds like using Apify to find those leads. So if you click on submit, it will start creating the new table for you with this search. And it will start populating the first column with all the data from those businesses. So the first task that is find restaurant for you, it is already built. If you're doing it manually, probably you need to search in Google restaurants downtown Miami, check in Google Maps that the business is open. You can grab every restaurant that you find and fill it into a Google spreadsheet or inside the CRM, and then review each of those businesses. So that can take a lot of time. In this case, it just takes seconds, and now you have a list of 157 restaurants here that Clay has populated for you in this table. So first to notice is that you have the name of the businesses, the Google Maps. Here is the URL of the Google Maps search for that particular business, the description of that business, probably not for all of them. You have the website, you have the phone number, you have the address, rating, and reviews count. So every time we source a new database into Clay, we want to fully understand what we're getting, because by understanding what you get, you will be able to notice what information you lack to be able to do what you want to do. So in this case, we want to qualify these companies. We want to find leads among those qualified companies. And also, we want to send those leads, find those leads contact and send those leads into a campaign. So in order to do that, we need to understand that the qualification process is different company to company. In this case, what we're gonna use to qualify the company is the rating, the reviews, and we need the price, because we want to find companies that have a high price, a high rating, and over 100 reviews, so we know that they're a legit business with a trajectory, and they're growing. And also, we can use the reviews as a qualification criteria. So if we find any complaints about the payment processes in the reviews, we can even add more priority to those businesses. So in order to do that, I have a question here. What should we do to get more leads? As you know, 100 million leads, not a lot. Okay, so if you want to get more leads, you can expand the radius of that location. But in this case, I'm trying to niche down into a specific location. So probably for the location that I'm targeting, 157, it's okay. Another thing that you can do if you want to expand that radius is to use Apify as an integration for sourcing of those companies. So in Apify has a different feature. It's another tool that has a different feature that you can set up a Google search with other criteria, and it's more complex. So I won't show you this today because this is Clay Basics. But if you want to learn more, just reach out to me and we can talk about it. So after having this list, we know that we need the reviews and we know that we need the price point of those companies. If you check, first of all, that the first column have a different kind of format, and if you hover it, the mouse make this form because it has more data. You can click on that and you're gonna see that you have in this source a JSON structure file in which you have different information that probably not of all the data is mapped into the Clay table. For instance, here we have the price that we needed and it's not mapped into the Clay table. And that's because Clay automatically mapped the information that is most used for the users, but you have more information that you can map. Here we have the reviews, but we don't have like specific reviews. We have a count of how many reviews they have. So we need to find more reviews. We need to find information about the reviews, and we need to map the price. So in order to map the price, we can click on this add as column, and it will appear this model in which you can select if you want to add into an existing column or if you want to create a new column. In this case, we don't have this column yet, so we need to create a new column. So now you already have the price points here. Okay, let's try to understand the price here and the way Google Maps output the price so we can make this qualification process on that. So the first step would be, if we want to qualify leads, we need to enrich with the reviews that we don't have yet. But from the price, if we want to find companies that have a high price, you notice that the tag price level very expensive. Probably it's a good tag. We also have another one that should be expensive. Inexpensive, it's a disqualification process maybe. So yeah, we have expensive and we have moderate. So in this case, we can use we have expensive here. Okay, so we have expensive and very expensive that you can use that qualification to these tags, to qualify those companies. And then on the rating, we have a rating from 1 to 5 stars. And in the reviews, we have the count. Now we need to get more reviews. We need to get the precise copies and the comments on those reviews. So there are many ways to be able to integrate that in Clay. But let's do the simplest way today. I'm going to present you as well how you can do it in a more complex way. So the simplest way would be to click on Add Enrichment and type here reviews. And probably you're going to see a list of different enrichment sources that you can use to get the reviews. So we have Yelp reviews, we have Google Maps reviews, find business reviews information, and then we have other ways that probably are not interesting for us right now. So we're going to use, first of all, Google Maps reviews, find business reviews information. So if you click on that selection, first of all, you will open this new window for you that you can select the information that you want to send as a query for Google to find those reviews. So in this case, it requires the company name. So if you click on that company name, you can map the column that represents the company name. The company website is already mapped. Here we have company address. So in this case, you can type / and map the company address, that is this column. Company latitude and longitude, we don't have it. And company keywords, we don't have it in this table so far. So right now we have these 3 assets, and we can, since all of them are optional, we can set up this column here to start looking for the reviews for those businesses. But before doing that, there is here a section in these new windows that every enrichment column have, that is the run settings. In these run settings, you can notice that we have an auto update checkbox here, that if it is on, every time you add a new row, a new business, this column will run automatically. So if you are thinking about creating a new process, a new automation process, and you want to save as many credits as possible until you are satisfied with the result, I will suggest you to turn off every new enrichment column that you create, or directly turn off the whole table. So in this case, let's turn off this enrichment column here. And later I'm going to show you how you can turn off the whole table. Here we have another section that says only run if. So this is a way that you can drive and you can create automations in a way that if any qualification step is met, then the enrichment column will run. So that will make you having more control over the full workflow and being able to make a workflow more efficient, because you don't want to enrich with the contact data and waste credits on companies that are not qualified, for instance. So in order to use this function, you can use here this box to fill out into a JavaScript language, or you can use this button that says use AI, in which you can determine with your own words what you want to achieve here and what are the conditions for you to run this column. And after creating this section here, if you click on generate formula, it will translate your natural language description into a JavaScript formula here. So In this case, we don't have any condition to run. So we're gonna click on continue to add fields. And here you can select if you want to create a new column with that data. Let's not create any column yet. We just want to save it. And after saving it, you're gonna see that we have a new column here. As I told you, since this column is turned off, it won't run automatically. As well, if you notice that this button here is green, probably it's because the table is on. So every time you create a new enrichment column, and if you don't turn off that column and you add a new row, it will start an enrichment process for you. So I would recommend you to turn off this table every time you're creating a new process. So just by clicking there and turn off, then you can turn on whenever you want. As well, this second button is the auto deduct button. So this button will help you to eliminate duplicates among the table. So in this case, we don't want to have businesses that have the same website. So we're gonna select website here, and after saving the changes, it will start deleting all the businesses that have the same website. All right, now we have this new enrichment column. We can click on this play button and we can select how many rows we want to run. We always suggest you to run first 10 rows so you can check the result that you get from those enrichment columns, these new enrichment columns. And if you're satisfied with those results, you can enrich the full table. In this case, let's check out these results. So if you click on any cell, you will notice that we have the same information that we have before, but we don't have the reviews. So it might be a different enrichment. Let's look for another enrichment here. I think I missed right here. Google. Sorry. Google reviews. Sorry, this was the one accurate. So we need to use these find business reviews. So the find business reviews require the place ID that in your case, if you select here and you're gonna see the first column here, you notice that you have an ID, that is the Google ID. We're gonna turn off the auto update as well, and we're gonna save, and you can run here as well the 10 first rows. Since this one we don't need it to run, we're gonna delete it. But this same column can be used if you have a list of businesses and you want to find their Google business. So in this case, we don't need it, so we're gonna delete it. And now with this new enrichment, you can find the reviews that we were looking for. So we have the snippet of every review, the details about the score that person made on that review. But you'll notice that you will only see 8 reviews. And that's why, because this clay enrichment has this limit on 8 reviews. So if you want to get more reviews, I will suggest you to use Happify. And here we have an Happify actor that is called Google Maps Reviews that will be able to scrape up to 100 reviews, maybe some less, depending on the size of the review. Clay has a limit on how many, how heavy can be the size of the review. So if you have like 100 reviews and they are full text and long text, probably won't be able to handle. But if they are shorter, probably it will. But in this case, with 8 reviews, it's enough to have all the information that we need. So here we can have all the reviews, and we can use that information into a qualification process, or we can output the information in different columns. In this case, we don't have to output the information in different columns. We just want to have it in there. So the next step would be to qualify the local businesses based on the reputation, the price, and the complaints. So there are 2 ways of doing this. The first way would be to use the formulas. So for actions that are kind of the qualification process that we're gonna need today. That a process information that are limited, and you know the precise format of that information. In this case, we know that the rating is a number from 1 to 5, the review counts is a number, and then we also know that the price, if we want to target expensive services, we can use the tag here, expensive or very expensive, to categorize those companies, and we can use that to qualify companies. Since this is something that we already know the format, we can use a formula to do that. So a formula would be a structured way to process that data. So in this case, if you create a formula column, you will have a new box here that you can describe with your own words what you want to do. And after clicking on the generate formula button here, it will create a JavaScript function for you to be able to process the data that you already have in the table and output the data in the format that you needed. So in this case, I want the formula to print true only if, let's say, the review count is over 100. Then also the rating is over 3.5, and we know that the price contains any of the following words. So we have very expensive and expensive, and doesn't contains moderate or inexpensive. So if you click now on generate formula, it will create here, like I told you, JavaScript formula for you. So you can use that formula to be able to qualify those companies. So here you'll notice that in this case, the price says moderate, so it's false, even though the review counts is over 100 and the rating is over 3.5. So if you click on output is correct, in this case, here you're gonna create you a new column, and this new column will print true only if those criteria are met. So in this case, it's an expensive, and we have 4.5, 4.5, and over 100 reviews. So this is a company that is qualified, this one as well, this one as well. So now we have a specific list of companies that are qualified. But also, if you want to use the reviews, in this case, we have a format that is not structured in a way that we can be able to identify specific complaints. So if we want to find complaints about the payment offers, we'll need to read every snippet and try to understand if we have similar keywords in those complaints. But it will be really difficult for a formula to be able to create a structured format to process that. So what Clay has as an integration to be able to process that is a column that's called use AI. So in this case, we can prompt here in a natural language what we want to achieve, and it will create you an AI prompt that will analyze the data and will output the data in the format that you like. So in this case, I want the output to output true and details about it. If you find any complaints in this list, and you map here the column with all the complaints, about payment offers of this business. So now if you click on generate, it will create an AI column for you that will specifically analyze the whole list of these 8 comments that this business have on their reviews, and will output for you in a format that is a checkbox and a comment about what it found that is related to complaints on final financial offers. Like, so in this case, this is the full prompt. I will strongly recommend you to, if you're using this function, to read it through every part of this prompt, because you might find some issues here. In this case, I just wanted to show you how to do it, but we don't have time enough to be able to spend time to generate and fine-tune the prompt. So as you can notice here, the first part of it is selecting the use case. In this case, it's a ClayGen use case. A ClayGen will analyze using a web scraper and an AI LLM model. In this case, we already have all the information, so we don't need a ClayGen. We need a create or modify content. And then you can also select the model that you want to use. So there are many models that you can select here, from Claude, from Google Gemini, or from GPT, or even their own Clay models. And you can connect your own API key to search to save money into using your Clay credits. So now you have a specific prompt, and we have the selected model. You can select the type of output. So in this case, I want a checkbox that says complaints. It can be true or false. And then you can add comments as a text. And you can also add this bottom to auto-update. You can turn it off if you like. So after creating the column here, you will notice that it can start running. It can take a little bit to run because it will analyze the data for you and output the data for you. But it will start using AI to create you these fields. So in these 8 examples companies, we don't have any complaints. But if we had, we should be looking at a true checkbox here that you can use to filter. So now you have all the information, and you can create a filtering here. So first of all, you can create a new view. Let's create this view. It's a configuration of filters and columns that you want to see in the table. So let's call this view qualified companies. So in these qualified companies, you can add a new filter here. That's gonna be just showing us the high-end positive qualified companies. So if you click on the companies, in this column title, you click on filter, you can create a filter that shows you only the companies that have this checkbox on. So now you have a list of all these companies that are qualified for you. You can click on actions and click on find people of these companies. This is a native information in Clay, a native function in Clay that is already included in all their plans, so you don't have to pay any credits for using it. And here you can determine which filter you want to use to find the leads. In this case, the view is qualified. I don't know why it didn't update the name, but it's the copy of default view, of course. And you can add here any other filters, like, for instance, I would like to find restaurants. Maybe some of them are not restaurants. Let's find it again. Using the website, yeah. There are restaurants. There might be an error in the industry. So in that case, you can skip that part. But let's focus on the scenario part. So you can review some of these titles. What we're going to suggest you, if you want to increase the outreach of reaching out to more people, is to add all the people here into the order table and then qualify it in the order table. In this case, let's find 4 job titles like general manager. So now I have a list of general managers of those restaurants. You can click on continue and you can import it into a new table. If you want to find more leads for these local businesses, there's another way that's really recommended for you to do. That is creating a new use AI column here and create a prompt like find me the contact data of this website and output print the output in an array that contains the name of the person, the role, the phone number, LinkedIn URL, and email. So you can use the client here to be able to scrape the company website and return you an array of different contact data that you can use as well. So that will be kind of a process that you can replicate manually. I mean, if you would like to check every website and analyze if they have any error contact data, because Clay doesn't have enough contact data for you, you can automate that instead by using the Clay agent to be able to scrape that website for you and being able to output the information in a structured format. So then you can send the same leads into that new table that you just created with the contacts. So as we created the last AI column, it also creates a new Clay agent, and you can save it and let's run for 10 rows. So you can check the results after a while. So this is gonna take a few, probably a minute or two. So while we are waiting, we can check the next step here. That is, after we find the leads, we need to find the contact data of those leads. So in some cases we have the LinkedIn URL, but in other cases we don't. In this case, let's find their contact, their email. So you can click on add enrichment and type email. And with Clay, you will be able to create a waterfall to find the person work email. So this one says enterprise. So probably this waterfall is created in a way that give more relevance to enrichment processes that will find emails for enterprise companies. In this case, just person work email works fine. If you click on full configuration, you will be able to drag and drop every data provider here that you have, and you can add as many data providers as you like to find the email. So I'm gonna use Prospero, Datagma, and ICPs to find those emails. So here you should map the full name, the company domain, and you can add a validator tool as well to validate those emails. So after just clicking save and run, it will create all the columns here for you, and it will check if the first provider find the email, it will validate it, and if this email is not valid, or if it doesn't find the email, the second provider will run, and so on. So you have a list of work emails just in minutes. Okay, now we need to find the phone number. So the same applies here for phone number. We have here a waterfall that you can find if you type phone number, and let's look for a person phone number in US, Canada, and this case will generate a list of different providers for you to find the phone number. Let's leave it into two providers, free providers. And if you click on save and run, we'll do the same as well. We'll validate the email for you, the phone number for you. So now you're gonna be having a list of work emails and phone numbers. In some cases, if you are not finding enough emails, you can add other providers as well. Here we have the phone numbers. All right, so let's check back that column here with the AI that creates you a list of contact data. So in this case, We have a list for the first company with the name of that person, the role, the email, the cases, link URL. So we can grab the same list here and we can select write each item to a new row in our table and send all that data into the new table that we just created. So in that sense, if we run it, we're going to start sending all those new leads inside this new table. Here you're going to see that. So here you can map every column in the column names that you already have here. So you have email. Let's add email as well. We don't have email in another one. Phone number as well. We can create a new column with phone number. And the LinkedIn URL, we have it as LinkedIn profile. Okay, so we can map it in the same column. So now, we will, since this table is on, you're gonna see that since we create these new rows, it's gonna create for you, it will gonna run these enrichments to find the contact data. So now you have a list of phone numbers and some emails. Probably these emails are not running because we need more information like the company domain. So let's look for the company domain in this data set. We have in this parent part the company website. So we can map here as well, company domain. And now that we have the company domain, it will start running these enrichment columns to find their emails. So yeah, now we have more emails. All right. So if you want to send a multi-channel campaign for those leads, you can just click on Add Enrichment. And we have here a list of different tools to send leads into different campaigns. So in this case, let's look for integrations. You can send those leads into, let's look for instance, Smart Lead. Okay, let's type Smart Lead. Smart Lead is a cold email sequence tool that you can natively integrate into Clay and send those leads directly into a campaign that you already set up. And you can start sending cold emails for those leads just by mapping the exact campaign that you want to send. So you map the campaign here, you connect first of all your Smart Lead account, and then you can start mapping all the data that you want to send to those campaign. Even you can create personalized copy and add those as a custom fields here and send it to Smart Lead. So just by save it and run, you will be able to start sending those leads that you get the email into Smart Lead. Then if you want to use their LinkedIn profile, there are other tools like enrich, for instance, that already have a native integration, or Lemlist is another tool that have a native integration that you can start adding leads towards your Lemlist account. You just need to add your account and then map the campaign ID and select all the data that you want, and you start sending those leads into the Lemlist campaign. In our case, we are using Get Sales for that. Get Sales doesn't have a native integration. So if that's your case, you don't have a native integration, you can use an HTTP API call. In this case, select the first one, and you can browse. There are templates that, in this case, let's look for my own templates. Send leads to Get Sales. So you just need the LinkedIn URL of that person, the first name and last name. This is the way that you can set it up. So you can have the endpoint and you can send all the information and the list that you're gonna send. In this case, Get Sales. So just by save it and run it, you will start sending those leads into a multi-channel campaign. That's the last part of the process. So in summary, you will be able to create the full process and automate that. So by adding more companies inside the first table, you will be finding more leads into the second table and you will find the contact data automatically and start sending those into a campaign in no time. So you're gonna save a lot of hours here and a lot of money as well if you are paying your reps to do that. So if you want to share this, what you learned today into a LinkedIn post, I can share with you the clay template that we reviewed today. So we have finished on time, but we're gonna send like 3 or 4 minutes of questions if you have any questions. We're gonna share the presentation as well and the recording of this video after the call, for sure. We have another question. Is there any way we can use this without using Clay credits? Maybe use a cheaper API? Yeah. If you want to find the reviews, you can use Apify. Apify would be cheaper for you. Let me show you here. In this case, for reviews, it costs you $0.45 for 1,000 reviews. In this case, this enrichment solution here. Compared to Clay, that costs you 2 credits. I'm sorry, I think it's 1 credit actually. 1 credit to get you 8 reviews. It can be cheaper. So in the expert plan, 1 credit is 14 cents. So if we have for 14 cents, we can have 250 reviews almost. So it's way cheaper. To connect Apify with Clay, you can create an Apify enrichment here. First of all, you need to create an Apify account. Apify have a free plan that you can access up to $5 per month. But if you want to really use it at a scale, you should create a paid account for $49 per month. And when you create your own account, you connect your own account into Clay, like I did here. And you can select this Apify crawler that in this case I think it's Google Maps Review. Yeah, this one. In this case, let's say you want to find this information, you can set up everything that you want to see in the manual view, test it in the start bottom, and if you're satisfied with the result, you can copy the JSON file here and print it as an input and change the values that you want to map. So in this case, it's the URL that you need to change to the actual Google Maps URL, that is this link. And then you can run it and start seeing the brick. We have another question. Okay. I have a question based on my experience using Google API. Give me less results than without using the API. I'm just using free text. That's cool. I try to figure out why, but couldn't find an answer. The experience the same. Okay, so in that case, you can ask support for the Clay team. Both cases have a limit. If you want to overcome that limit, I would strongly suggest you to go and find an Apify actor that doesn't have a limit, so you can connect Apify as an input source and not as an enrichment source. What I just showed you is how to connect Apify as an enrichment source. So based on data that you already have on the table, it will bring you back more data. But as a source, it will start creating raws for you. So that will be kind of the workaround here. Why you didn't use Apollo? I mean, for this type of use cases, like finding SMB, brick and mortar types of businesses, Apollo doesn't have a lot of information there. So it's not so useful. But for other type of businesses, if you're targeting SaaS companies or enterprise companies, so yeah, Apollo would be more powerful. Also, for using Apollo, you should have a subscription to Apollo. What if we use Serper for local businesses? Yeah, Serper can also be a good way to start a list. Yeah, there are many sources. Apify is, I would say, really easy to use. So you will also have a lot of other scripting solutions in hand to use. So I would suggest you to go to Avify, but if you know how to use Serper, you can go to Serper. That's great. All right, now we are on time. If you have any other questions, let us know. Write us an email or write us an inbox mail into LinkedIn. Okay, you don't have experience with Serper. Okay, yeah, Serper is really cool. It's an scripting solution, but it's a little more complex than using Apify. I would say that's gonna be like my experience at least. So yeah. All right, guys. It was a pleasure helping you and being able to share that with you. We're gonna share an email with all the details about what we see today, what we saw today, as well details about the presentation and so on. And if you want to learn how to use Clay, we have a coaching program, we have a playbook. So reach out to us so we can offer you a discount as part of our workshop members and newsletter members. So you can access to a full training on how to use Clay for your purpose, guided by us. And in 2 months, I can assure you that you will be able to implement a full workflow end to end, maybe a more complex workflow, and maybe 1 or 2 workflows, depending on what you want to achieve. And you will be speeding up not only the learning curve, but also the results that you can get inside Clay. So if you are curious to know more about it, just send us a message and we can book a call with you and interact you with all our offers. So it was a pleasure to you having this workshop with you guys, and see you next week. Bye.